Nice pass. Bobby Charlton. Torres. And that's a goal. George Best set that up for Bobby Charlton. A very good goal by Manchester United.
But under Howard Wilkinson and Alex Ferguson, the Uniteds of Manchester and Leeds are rediscovering those powerful traditions. It's early days, but the signs are good.
Sharp! Even less fun to smile about now. Strachan lets it go, nice little run. Here comes McAllister, he might try one. McAllister!
And a very good afternoon from Old Trafford, the Rumbelows League Cup semi-final. Phase 1 between Manchester United and Leeds United. They'll be looking to take the advantage this afternoon, an advantage they hope will lead them to Wembley. And this is the cup they'll be playing for at Wembley this year, the traditional League Cup trophy, the original one. A nice touch that by Rumbelows to reinstate the old traditional piece of silverware. But we are 180 minutes from Wembley, two-legged semi-final, and I wonder, Dennis Law, who's our guest again at Old Trafford this afternoon, how much that will affect the pattern of the game.
Well, I think it will affect the pattern of the game because both teams have had a marvellous season up to now, but with it being two legs, you would feel that Leeds United would come here, play a more defensive game and try and keep the score down, and therefore I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope that...
Remarkably, Dennis, as we talked about, and as we saw last week, that horrific injury to Lee Chapman at White Hart Lane, and we wondered whether he could possibly be fit. Look at that, with blood pouring all over his face, whether he could possibly be fit to play today. And here he is.
It looks awful, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking to Gary Lineker, and he said he seemed to be out before he hit the track and looked as though he wouldn't be playing. But he's obviously a very brave lad, and he's such an important part of the Leeds United side, so there'll be a boost for them. But you feel that with that type of player, he could get injured again.
OK, remarkable character, Lee Chapman. Our commentators today are Ian St John and Brian Moore.
Thanks a lot, Elton. Let's check on the two teams then. Manchester United in goal is Seeley. Number 2, Dennis Irwin. 3 is Lee Martin. 4 is Steve Bruce. 5 is Clayton Blackmore in midfield for the injured Mike Phelan. 6, Gary Pallister. 7, Brian Robson. 8, Paul Ince replacing the injured Neil Webb. 9, Brian McClare. 10, Mark Hughes. And 11, Lee Sharp. A tactical change in the United lineup because of those injuries. Lee Martin will play at left back. Clayton Blackmore moves to the right side of midfield. And it's a big day for everybody here, but bigger still for Gordon Strachan, such a hero here for so long. This week a return to the Scotland side. Yesterday he celebrated his 34th birthday. What a crucial factor he is then in this Leeds side. They've got John Lukic in goal, number 2 Mel Sterland, 3 Peter Haddock, 4 Mike Wicklow, 5 Chris Fairclough, 6 Chris White, 7 Strachan, 8 Andy Williams, 9 remarkably Lee Chapman, 10 Gary McAllister and 11 Gary Speed. A midfield that misses David Batty suspended. Strachan, Wicklow, Williams, McAllister play there. Speed, I imagine, might be slightly withdrawn on the left-hand side. Chapman almost a lone force up front. The substitutes today for Manchester United, Mal Donaghy and Danny Wallace, and for Leeds, John Pearson and Glyn Snowden. And the referee today is John Martin of Alton in Hampshire. Well, it's quite amazing. Leeds United then in the all-yellow strip, attacking the goal to our left. Leading that line will be Lee Chapman, with 35 stitches in that facial injury that he sustained at Tottenham last weekend. He is just about to get the game underway. He put his teeth through the upper lip and spent the weekend in hospital. And here he is getting his first taste of the action, but he was beaten in the air then by Gary Pallister. I just hope that here's Lee Chapman again, jumping for that one, but it's a free kick, an offside. Just hope he's not being too brave for his own good. Chris White looking around. It's amazing to think with so much of the country snowbound and a flake of snow inside here. It's a script really you could probably write in advance. Manchester United is hammering away, looking for goals to take to that second leg at Ellen Road. Leeds probably aiming to stifle the life out of United's ambitions and finish the job in front of their own folk. Strachan on the far side, but the linesman flagging for an infringement. Probably Hughes jumping at an opponent, but the referee has decided to allow the game to go on. Ian St John?
Brian, I'm not sure if it would be a good ploy for Leeds United to sit back and invite Manchester United to come at them, because the game has been built up this season on pace. They're a very pacey team. They get the ball forward early, they attack the opposition, and I don't see a reason today for them to change that, and I think they'd be looking for trouble if they did.
Well, behind John Lukic's goal there's a good deal of empty terracing. There's been a dispute between the two clubs over ticket allocation. Tell you more about that in just a moment. Good jump by McAllister there. In goes Bruce. Leeds, on police advice, felt they could only offer Manchester United 2,600 tickets for the game at Ellen Road. United said, OK, you're only getting 2,600 for this one here. Hence, it's sad to see it, but a lot of empty spaces for a Rumbelows Cup semi-final.
That is ridiculous, really, isn't it? When you think that the police are keeping the fans away at the back of the stand to not allowing them to ease forward and sit in the front rows.
Seats then, the atmosphere is really electric here, which I hope's coming through to you at home. Gary Speed there, but it's knocked back by Martin. There wasn't a lot to spare there as little Strachan went in. White chesting it down for Haddock. Back to big John Lukic. Not a very good kick by him. Straight to Dennis Irwin, who used to be a Leeds United player. Haddock playing it forward. In came Robson, man of the match last week against Liverpool here. McClare playing it on. Fairclough first to react to that. And back again to the safety of John Lukic. Might be interesting to keep account of the number of back passes today, Saint.
Let's hope we don't have too many.
Fairclough. Classic cup tie material, really, played over two legs here in front of the two of the noisiest crowds in the game, Manchester United's and Leeds United. If you're looking for a quiet afternoon, I fancy you may not get it here. Here's Dennis Irwin, freed by Leeds United when he was only 20. He played 72 league games for them, the United number 2, now a Republic of Ireland international as well. It's Hughes. Leeds know they've got to keep a very tight rein on Mark Hughes, having a wonderful season. 17 goals so far. McClare up alongside him, and again Chris White just ushering that ball back to John Lukic.
He's having an excellent season, Chris White. The games that we have seen Brian on the box this year, you know, he's been outstanding.
Slight miscue by him there. McClare. And that's easy again for Lukic. Martin. Knocked on by McClare. Sharp making one of those great breaks. Hughes waiting in the middle, but it was hit too high for an exasperated Mark Hughes there. He'd made such a good run, and it was such a good position for United, but the ball sailed over him. Here's Peter Haddock for Leeds to Lee Chapman, down by Ince. No foul. Martin playing it forward again. That time there was a foul by Fairclough on Hughes. And a free kick for Manchester United. Manchester United unbeaten in their last 15 games. Lukic lining up the wall. 4 in it, 5 in it. Robson behind it, Ince behind it. Irwin's gone across there as well. And it's Dennis Irwin hitting it straight through, but before the referee was ready, United will get another chance, because presumably the Leeds wall wasn't back 10 yards. Certainly don't look back 10 yards at the moment. 6 top whack, I would have thought there. So Irwin tries again. Oh, that bounced off Lukic. And a certain sympathy for Lukic there, because they re-turfed that area just in front of him. There's a triangle that leads to the edge of the penalty area that was re-turfed just over about a fortnight ago. And obviously it took a nasty bobble there. Ince. It's Chapman. Just kept in play there by Mike Whitlow. Bruce gets it. Haddock. Strachan. Well, a few United fans booing him, that is daft. He was such a great little character here and so popular. And the smile is never far from his lips. Speed coming back to help out. Haddock planting it forward again, and there's a good header by Chapman there, getting above Steve Bruce. But Irwin gets it away for Manchester United. Alistair. United will certainly look for a lead to take to the second leg. 1 goal or 2. Here's Mel Sterland, who scored in a 1-1 draw here in the league earlier this season. They've met twice before. There's a clash. The game goes on. And an offside, it'll look to me an offside there against Lee Chapman, but the flag stayed down. He played a goalless draw at Ellen Road in the league, and a 1-1 draw here.
You mentioned offside before there, Brian, and Alec Ferguson said that he'll obviously be working with his team this week, trying to overcome the Leeds United offside trap. They push up Leeds, and as do Manchester United, and I think you might find today the forwards will have to be very careful, otherwise they will stray off.
Clare. McAllister. Haddock well forward. Irwin playing it in again. Fairclough's header for Leeds. Speed jumping with Ince. Ince getting in again, but that time it was Andy Williams who got the better of him. Just nicked in first. So coming up to 10 minutes of the game gone. Manchester United 0, Leeds United 0 in the first leg of this Rumbelows League Cup semi-final. An exciting talent for Leeds down this left-hand side. Knocking inside for McAllister, getting it back for Chapman. Played across the line there towards Williams. They claimed a handball there by Robson. Spotted quickly by the referee, and the free kick awarded to Leeds. Now Sterland hammers in a free kick, and indeed scored from a free kick, a real spanker in the league game here. Saw him clutching his right boot in the team hotel this morning, said that could be worth £2 million. Well, I suppose if he drives one in, it could be worth an awful lot of money. There's Mel Sterland into the United wall. Strachan. That looked to come off Robson, and Leeds United a little disappointed they didn't get a corner there.
I can't believe the crowd booing Gordon Strachan. Gordon did a marvellous job here, and when he left, it looked as if he'd gone past his sell-by date, but he's been resurrected there at Leeds. He's got his appetite for the game back, and the little fella's having a great season, so the fans should look at that and say, well done, instead of booing him.
And as you saw from our caption there, playing his 100th consecutive game for Leeds here today. Such an inspiration getting him out of the second division into the first. Peter Haddock with the throw. Bruce with the header. Speed playing it on, and United get another throw. They've had the undersoil heating turned on here since Thursday. It does tend to dry out the pitch so much, and they've given it a good watering this morning. Irwin's throw. Haddock with a throw for Leeds. Chapman. Here's Robson. Sharp gets it back to Martin. Bruce.
You see the space there that Leeds United leave behind their back four there. They push right up, Brian, and make it very difficult. I would think that Manchester United have to think now of getting midfield players forward, making diagonal runs here.
Sterling with the free kick. Up goes Bruce. Blackmore. Up the handball there by Robson. Reminiscent in a way of the Glenn Hussein one last week. But United will hope less costly. Glenn Hussein, incidentally, was up on the gantry with us today as a co-commentator for one of the Scandinavian countries that are taking this match. Fairclough up for this one. And an offside flag against Gary Speed. Owen. Blackmore. Such a valuable member of this Manchester United side now is Clayton Blackmore, Saint. You know,
yes.
He seems to be able to play anywhere and really has settled in and does an extremely good job, whether it's at left back or, on this occasion here, right side of midfield.
Yes, he's become a better player as he's matured and was making a good job of that left back position.
Yeah.
I think playing wide on the right, he doesn't have the pace to really give them much width there.
Here is finding McClare. Sharp's made a break. All in vain. Goal kick.
Yeah, going back to that, I think that down the right-hand side here, United don't have the outlet because Clayton's not that type of player. Where on the left, of course, we have seen that young Sharp has got the pace, he's got the ability, and if they can get it out to his feet, I think something can happen.
Lukic with the kick. Foul that time by Fairclough, but the referee had spotted an earlier foul on Brian McClare. It'll be a free kick to Manchester United. Bruce up on the far side of the penalty area alongside Gary Pallister. And it's Bruce they're aiming for. Lukic, a superb catch there. He stands 6'4". He's entitled to gather that sort of ball, but he did it beautifully. Fairclough with a header in a touch. United's throw, as you can see. Blackmore. It's a chance now for Robson. A wonderful save by Lukic.
Surely Brian Robson was offside there. Brian, he certainly looked to be all on his own. The Leeds United players looked across at a linesman, but he kept the flag down.
Speed. McClare. with the throw. And a free kick to Leeds United. McClare battling with Haddock. And Brian McClare eventually getting it back to Les Seeley. Blackmore had a hand in the near miss there, and Robson's shot with the outside of the left boot, beautifully parried there by Lukic. Free kick to Leeds, the foul on Strachan by Martin. Fairclough's gone forward, White's gone in there. Strachan with a little chip, trying to get Williams away.
I thought that was a nasty tackle.
Yeah, it looked like a bad challenge from behind by Sterland on Sharp. And certainly the United supporters who were close to it were incensed by it. The referee's given the free kick to Manchester United. Martin with the free kick. Hit high towards Hughes. Looking to get the better of Fairclough. Come back for Owen. Sliding it in there again for Lee Sharp. There's the cross there towards Robson, who was in there. And Fairclough forced to concede the corner. Their first corner, which Lee Sharp will take. Pallister Bruce up from the back. Pallister's head up. But it was Haddock who made the clearance. Well, a bit cheeky there by Gordon Strachan. He nodded the ball into touch, thought he would take the throw himself. But the linesman was aware of it.
Having a laugh with the crowd as well, little Gordon over there. But Leeds United do try to take set pieces quickly, Brian. You know, they are, as I said earlier, a team that likes to keep the game pacey. They like to get on with it.
Ince. Space here for Dennis Irwin. Now up to Hughes. Closely watched again that time by Chris White. Haddock to Mick Wicklow. Haddock finding speed. Some excellent play there by Leeds United, getting themselves out of trouble, and then McAllister and Williams tumbling into each other. Although the referees decided there was a foul by Paul Ince leading into that, John Martin, the oldest referee on the list at the moment, 51, a fitness fanatic, and you can be sure he'll be right up there with the game throughout the 90 minutes. Haddock then with the free kick for Leeds United. Chris White in there. Speed, excellent play. Wicklow playing it in. Lee Chapman couldn't get a grab of that one. Robson got it away without great conviction, though. Ince. Good ball there. Now it's warming up. Sharp. McClare's up alongside him. Hughes in a lot of space if he can thread it to him through to find Mark Hughes, but then Hughes is down. The ball runs loose, and it's Leeds who can take it up now with Strachan. Chapman up there alongside him. Strachan thought about the pass, held it a little longer, holds off Lee Sharp, gets it back now to Williams. A poor cross in there, stopped by Ince. Ince forward to McClare. Robson trying to get hold of that one. Blackmore trying to get hold of that one. And Manchester United get a throw.
Very competitive now, Brian. Really hot knot.
McClare. Okay. Now, I couldn't believe that opening quarter of an hour, then suddenly it's away and running.
Yeah, I mean, the competition is fierce now. Everybody's going for the ball. I do think, as I said to you, the Leeds United are not going to come here and sit back, Brian. They've come here to play their normal game. They're certainly getting about their business now. Now, John Lukic's goal kicks have been very poor, and if I was Brian McClare, I might be looking to try and pinch this. Oh, he's got that one away.
That's a better one. I think from now on the pace will be relentless. Leeds United get a free kick. The commitment likewise. 21 minutes coming up to 22. Manchester United 0, Leeds United 0. So far no real problems for Lee Chapman. Let's see if he can cause a few for Manchester United. Mel Sterland with the free kick for Leeds. Towards Chris White there. Bruce got up. Ince just nicking it away. And Fairclough, who'd stayed back, gets it back to Lukic. Thinking here, and we could be in for a real treat of sort of left-sided wing play with Lee Sharp and Gary Speed on the field, two of the brightest exponents of it, young players with fantastic futures. Here's Speed again, but the whistle had gone.
Yeah, I like Gary Speed. I think he has a real up-and-coming talent. I saw him just coming on the other night down at Wrexham with the Welsh team, and I don't think it'll be long before he's in a regular place there.
Chelsea and Sheffield Wednesday, of course, the other two sides in the semi-finals. Hughes takes those beautifully. Robson in towards McClare. United catching Leeds offside.
That is one of the most irritating things in football, and it's a law that we could immediately just scrub altogether, that you should never be offside from a goalkeeper's kick-outs. It's a very simple one, isn't it? And it really annoys the crowd when that happens.
And the entertainment in the game, the value of that would improve straight away. A free kick to Manchester United. And to think that Alex Ferguson was worried about Leeds playing the offside game. Bruce. To McClare. Sterling had little time to spare there. Found Fairclough. Martin gets it back. Here's Bruce again. Knocked forward again towards Hughes. Fairclough got in just in time. Knocked away by Sterling. So Bruce will try again. Pallister alongside him. Winning it comfortably in the air, and fell over Lee Chapman, who's down holding his face just for a moment. White planting it forward. McAllister. Williams. That's a good break by Williams. Stopped in the end by Pallister. Back to Seeley.
Yeah, that was a good run by young Williams there, wasn't it? Just got crowded out at the end. He was almost in a shooting position.
Fair. Chapman or Sharp rather outside him. Oof, the boots are flying in there.
Yeah, that's sort of like a maul in rugby, isn't it?
Well, I think the only thing he can do there probably is a drop ball, and I think he might well want a word with Mark Hughes, who went in, I thought, unnecessarily hard when the ball looked to be dead. Throw given to Leeds. Chapman. Free kick to Leeds this time. There's another case of them wanting to get those free kicks taken quickly, but without profit. Straight through to Les Seeley. Leclerc's header. Glance for Sharp. Now taking on Sterling. He's got such pace. Sterling struggling to keep up with him, and Sharp did it all right there in spite of the attentions of Sterling. The referee quite properly giving a free kick to Manchester United. Sterling almost pulling Sharp back. A great burst by young Lee Sharp, and having got to the byline did exactly the right thing in pulling it back.
It was a super cutback, wasn't it? Under the pressure that he was on, going at that pace.
Well, let's see now with the free kick. Pallister and Bruce are both up there. Robson's in there too. It was Sterling who got it away. Here's Paul Ince. Back to Martin. Flag up again for an offside, presumably against Lee Sharp. The linesman had wagged his flag, or waved his flag just before, and the referee, which he's quite entitled to do, said, no, OK, I'll play an advantage and get on with it. And then when the ball was played in again, Lee Sharp was again offside.
I think they were complaining in a way because the linesman wasn't actually in line with play there. As you said, put his flag up, he'd stopped. Leeds had continued to push out, and the linesman wasn't in line.
Well, it's John Lukic way outside his 18-yard box that's taking the kick safely up towards Lee Chapman. Won it in the air, knocked away by Martin for Manchester United. Ince will collect it, and now Irwin. Hughes, Ince trying to get it wide out there again for Lee Sharp. Martin to Sharp. Back again for Martin. Two United youngsters combining well there. Robson tried to keep it going with McClare. Strachan chipping it away to Gary Speed. Ince getting the better of McAllister. And no whistle. So it's on with Chapman. Too high for Andy Williams. Irwin gets it away. Ince again. McAllister towards Speed, collected superbly there by Clayton Blackmore, and back to goalkeeper Seeley. Fairclough. Foul there, quite rightly, the referee's absolutely right there. Hughes was jumping at Fairclough with very little chance of getting the ball himself.
Well, Mr. Martin has shown no favouritism to either team, but the crowd at either end of the ground are going mad at some of his decisions. But as you say, I think he was quite right, because Mark Hughes has been backing into people when the ball gets played up to him, and he did jump into the defender there.
So again we have Lukic. One of these days that kick is going to fail, but not on that occasion. Bruce, Blackmore. That was a foul by White on Hughes.
You see, I thought again there that Mark Hughes jumped into Chris White.
This time it's a free kick to Manchester United then. Steve Bruce with it. Aimed towards Gary Pallister. Here's his header. Hughes playing it back again to Pallister. Charged down by White. Ince. Bruce. Whoa. For a moment, as though he was shrugging that away with his arm, as he was put under increasing pressure by the advance of Lee Chapman. Back again by Chris White. Sterling. And again. A foul on Strachan by Martin.
Well, the competition is so fierce at the moment, Brian, that we're getting a foul, you know, every 30 seconds or so.
I think also there's a degree of play acting out there as well, Saint.
Well, it's a few of them looking for it, yeah.
Sterling with the free kick for Leeds United. Bruce just got the head of that one. McAllister! Oh, a fantastic shot and a lovely save. Well, that was a great shot by McAllister.
The goalkeeper actually got his fingers to it. I don't know why it's not a corner kick.
I can't understand why it isn't a corner kick.
Unless maybe the linesman had given offside, but I just don't understand that. That was a fabulous save. Here we can see it again. And I don't think anyone was offside. There's another mystery decision.
Robson gets sharp away. Hughes waiting in the middle. A real up and under there. Blackmore will look to get his head to this one. Irwin looked to be out of play. And it was. It's a goal kick. A terrific run, just talking about their recent run, 15 without defeat, but look at this, they played 20 cup ties, Manchester United, and not since Spurs came here and won 3-0 in October 1989 have they lost a cup tie.
It's a wonderful record. Very consistent in the cup, aren't they?
Well, they do say when the cup comes around, United sniff the air and think, well, we're back in business again. And that's certainly been the case in point this season. They're very much involved, of course, in the FA Cup, as well as this one, the Rumbelows, and also a quarter-final of the Cup Winners' Cup against Montpellier of France, whose coach is here again today. Leeds, for their part, have an interest in the Zenith data and the Rumbelows and the FA Cup. They have a data course against Arsenal on Wednesday night. Robson, Hughes. Free kick to Manchester United. Bruce. Foul by Sterling. He claims he was innocent. It's a free kick to Manchester United.
I think young Mel will have to be careful because another foul, he'll certainly go in the book.
John Martin is spelling it out to Mel Sterling, who's twice been in cup semi-finals with Sheffield Wednesday against Brighton and against Everton. They lost them both. He doesn't want a hat-trick of that sort. Bruce, it's an offside foul.
That is always going to be the problem, Brian, as I said before.
And, sorry, Saints, McClare, who was showing his anger towards the linesman for that decision, gets a yellow card.
Well, that's rather silly of Brian McClare, because you never win that argument anyway, but also the fact I thought there was about 3 of them offside.
It looked a fairly clear-cut decision to me, I must say.
Well, they'll tell a
not.
lie, because Chris White was playing him on. Well, there you are.
He had a case, but there's no point in arguing with linesmen and referees. The result is a yellow card.
But you see how dicey it can be when you're playing offside. All it needs is one defender to be a little slow in pushing out, and they could have been caught. But I think that evens up the earlier one anyway. I think when Brian Robson got through, I felt he was offside.
And a couple of fans on the pitch, followed by a few policemen. Lee Chapman giving him a piece of his word and his mind, and so too is Brian Robson. We're taking a decision not to show it. So John Martin takes a breather. Well, it's been a fairly frenetic first half for him. As the 2 invaders are taken away. A free kick now to Leeds. That was a foul against Brian Robson, whose foot was rather high. I think probably on Chris Fairclough.
It's all getting a bit towsy now, isn't it? I think the players will have to let the steam get out their ears a bit now and just settle down and try and get on with the game. There's a lot of petty little grudges building up.
Knocked away by Sharp. Fairclough getting in. Pallister, who's given it straight to Gary Speed. And Seeley couldn't be sure. In fact, it looked to me as though it was just going outside the far post. Williams.
Yeah, it was certainly going wide, Brian. You were right enough. But, I mean, he couldn't be sure, could he? Had to make the save.
And also, both these goal mouths are fairly bobbly, you know. I don't think they... it's another extra dimension to goalkeepers' worries. Sterling then with the throw for Leeds United. Crowd trying to raise both sides now.
I don't think they need to raise them any heights, Brian, because I think both sides are hyped up for this one, and that might be the problem. They're putting so much effort into it.
United man down there is Clayton Blackmore, I think. Referee gets Jim McGregor, the physio, on very quickly. As you'll notice as you go around the game, that as soon as there's any suspicion of a head injury, the game stops at once. So let's just see how it happened. Blackmore jumped for it with Andy Williams.
Looked like an elbow. Williams' elbow caught him there.
This pitch gets used such a lot, Ian. I think it's something like 44 games now it's had on it this season, but that's not helping the game, actually, is it?
No, it's not helping him. I mean, the middle of the pitch really is a disgrace. And the goalmouth that John Lukic is in at the moment. That's a bit of a kicker, as we used to call that in Scotland.
Yes. Took a nasty whack just under that right eye. It's a throw for Leeds United. Now becoming a time-honoured tradition, the Leeds United players giving it straight back to Manchester United after the 5 minutes to go to half-time, then 0-0. Now Sharp. Hughes again is in the middle. It took a deflection there. Speed battling with Owen, and a corner given to Manchester United. Sermon will take it. Steve Bruce in there. keen on that one, the red shirts, and behind for the goal kick. They've had a terrific run in the Rumbelows Cup of Manchester United. It certainly hasn't been easy for them after they'd beaten Halifax in the very first round, to beat Liverpool and then Arsenal and then Southampton. Certainly worthy of their place in the semi-finals. Leeds beat Leicester City, Oldham, Queen's Park Rangers and Aston Villa. Owen. Up towards McClare. Keeping his eye firmly on the ball. Manchester United's ball. Owen. Came off the Leeds player. Flick on there by Clayton Blackmore. Knocked away by Fairclough. And an offside this time against Clayton Blackmore. A free kick to Leeds United.
Well, certainly Leeds United this afternoon, Brian, haven't been intimidated at all coming here to Old Trafford, which it really is a hotbed. It's difficult for teams to come and play here, but they've played their game, they stuck to it, they battled for everything, and I think it's a very even Steven game at the moment, and when neither team really haven't carved out any chances.
Haddock. Bruce gets it away, up to McClare. Ince. Robson. And Hughes a good 6 or 7 yards offside.
That is the position that I feel that Brian Robson has got to play a diagonal ball and get somebody like Clayton Blackmore coming from the back and trying to catch Leeds. You'll never catch him with the ball straight down the middle. At least you shouldn't.
They looked most promising when they were playing on Lee Sharp away on that left-hand side.
Well, that's it. But Mel Sterling, you'll notice, has got closer to him, and he's making sure that when they look up, there's a man there.
Bruce getting in before speed, but at the expense of a corner. Yes. Bruce didn't think so. The referee wasn't sure. Actually, John Martin was running there, looked back over his left shoulder at the linesman, who's right down at this corner flag, who really couldn't have had a very good view himself. But between them, they decided it was this corner for Leeds United. Gordon Strachan will take it. It'll be Chris right at the near post, maybe looking for a little flick on. No, it's driven much deeper than that towards Fairclough. Seeley just got a hand to that one. Martin completed the clearance, but only Peter Haddock's back now for Leeds. And back it goes. Coming close to half-time now. Speed to Chapman. Chested down. Andy Williams. Mel Sterling, being chased by Hughes. Speed. Haddock. In goes Irwin. Haddock in again. By Clayton Blackmore. That was a good bit of play by Blackmore, and it's released Dennis Irwin now. What sort of cross? Towards Mark Hughes, and it might come from McClare. No. What about Martin? Charged down by Little Strachan. McAllister now to take it up for Leeds. Space down here for Speed. Stopped by the half-time whistle in this first leg of the Rumbelows League Cup semi-final. Half-time then at Old Trafford is Manchester United 0, Leeds United 0.
way through this Rumbelows League Cup semi-final between Manchester United and Leeds United. No goals. It's all a bit scrappy and a bit niggly, Dennis, isn't it?
Very much so, and I don't think it was something that we expected to be flowing football anyway. Both teams are cancelling each other up. They're not using the flank. It has been a bit niggly. The pitch doesn't help at all. And it was no more than we expected, really.
Yes, and we're seeing a lot of the referee, and that's not usually a good sign, is it? And he's irritating the crowd with a lot of his decisions.
Well, he's made a few iffy decisions, hasn't he, which doesn't help. And particularly the way that both teams are playing. Both teams are playing offsides, which irritates the supporters. Irritates. There have been some decisions which really have been offsides, and he's given onside. You know, so this always doesn't augur for a good football match.
There's 6 offsides and 25 stoppages, and it just spoils the flow of it. Anyway, let's have a look at the 2 chances, really, that one for each team. Might have scored. Here's Brian Robson's effort, Dennis.
That was a good chance that when it eventually came through to Brian. Now, in a situation like that, I'd have felt, you know, really, I know it's his favourite, his left foot is his favourite foot, but in a situation like that, you felt he should have been with his right foot. He could have curled it past the goalkeeper.
Question here is, was this a save from Gary McAllister by Les Seeley?
I think, as the Saint said, he just touched it, yes. But to be fair to the referee, it came very fast. I mean, it was a very hard shot indeed. And but for the Saint was right, didn't he? He did say it was a corner.
But it was a terrific save then, wasn't it?
It was a good save, and it was an absolutely magnificent shot. Ball coming out. There was a possibility that Chapman could have been offsides, but had it gone in, if I'd been the referee, I would have given the goal. Anyway, he wasn't interfering with play.
Well, the flag stayed down. It never went up anyway. Now, look, the onus is on Manchester United, isn't it? They don't want to go to Ellen Road in a couple of weeks' time or whenever it is without any goals.
Well, I would think probably that maybe in the second half they might bring on Wallace, because if Leeds have a weak spot, then you would think that the left-back situation could be. If it brings Wallace in and gets down the flanks and gets the ball into Hughes, there's a chance, because when United have looked dangerous, they've looked dangerous when they've been on the other side, haven't they, with Sharp and occasionally. So if I was Ferguson, I would bring Wallace on in the second half. It's sometime anyway.
Well, you could be spot on there. You were certainly spot on last week when you pumped for Kingsley Black in the Goal of the Day competition, because Ian St John agreed with you, Dennis, and said that Kingsley's was the goal of the day, that Brazilian-style free kick. Ian's verdict, by the way, the most accurate free kick that he's seen this season.
Well, I've seen it for the second time. It looked a good goal last week. Magic goal this week.
Even better. Well, we got 5 winners who'll each receive £100. Mark Lovey of Northwich, Miss J. Halliwell of Dennington, Mrs. E. Davis of Loughborough, Mr. Collett of Bromley, and Mr. Singleton of Bridgewater. We'll have more goals at the end of the programme, highlights from the Mersey derby, and a goals competition with a bit of a difference. Join us again. Welcome back. Neil Webb missing for Manchester United, of course, today. We saw him injured on the match this time last week. Let's hear from him now with Gary Newbon.
Well, Neil, we know they're 2 good cup teams, but what about the game itself?
Well, I think overall it's a very disappointing game. I think they've had a good chance from outside the box. I think Brian Robson's chance was the best that we had. Unfortunately, we didn't have anyone following in to follow the shot in, but it's like I say, it's a disappointing overall game, really, to be fair.
What about your injury? When will you be back?
I'm hoping to be back for selection for the Norwich game, because we don't play that till the Monday because of BSB, so that gives me an extra couple of days recovery.
Thank you very much. Now let's go back to Brian Moore.
Thanks a lot, Gary. So Neil Webb hoping to be fit for that FA Cup tie against Norwich. United, of course, get a nice little 8-day break after this one. As we await the start of the second half, having a quick look around, no substitutes on the field. Very good point that Dennis Law made, that maybe Danny Wallace will be on before so long with his speed. Possibly down the right flank, possibly even through the middle as a means of upsetting the offside trap.
I think you could near enough say that would be a certainty, Brian, because if things stay at 0-0, you know, Alex Ferguson has to do something.
Williams, and now McAllister, up ahead of him is speed. Certainly United will want to take something to Ellen Road for the second leg. I think it's something like 17 games Leeds have played on their own ground this season and conceded only 13 goals. It's Chris White. Beaten that time by Hughes, and then Hughes caught by Mike Wicklow. And that's going to be a yellow card for Wicklow. Mike Wicklow, formerly of Witton Albion. Indeed, Howard Wilkinson's first signing. Just catching Mark Hughes there. And a yellow card for him.
It actually didn't look a serious one there, Brian. I thought it was more a trip than anything else because he was at full stretch. But
it's a competition that Manchester United have never won in its various guises. Littlewoods Cup, League Cup, Milk Cup, Rumbelows Cup. Beaten finalists once. And Leeds have won it just once, right back in 1968 against Arsenal at Wembley by a goal to 0. Seem to recall that being a particularly bad-tempered game of football. Well, a free kick for Manchester United. Mark Hughes, 11 goals in the last 12 games, 17 this season, 6 of them in the Rumbelows Cup, including a hat-trick against Southampton. Owen crossing it in. McClare didn't quite get his head to that one. Speed hooking it away. Robson returning it. A red shirt was offside. It was Clayton Blackmore. Free kick to Leeds. Blackmore. Irwin backpedaling. Hustled by Speed. It comes to Lee Chapman. Scooped into the middle there by him. Leeds United without the busy play of David Batty in midfield, although of course his suspension will be over. He'll certainly be okay for the second leg. There's Peter Haddock. And Chris White gets it back. Great character, Chris White. Played, of course, formerly with Arsenal. He had a little spell on loan with Crystal Palace and then was signed here from West Bromwich Albion. Seen Leeds several times this season. You always feel that he's not going to be fast enough and might get caught out, but very rarely do you see Chris White caught out, say.
I think he's had an excellent season. I've been very impressed with him again today because you know the type of form that Mark Hughes is in at the moment. I mean, he's deadly, and really the big fella's kept him quiet this afternoon, hasn't he, up to now?
Well, Lukic outside his box. Hitting the kick up towards Lee Chapman. That's a Manchester United throw. Now Lee Chapman having a word with the linesman. A dangerous game. And the referee at first looked as though he'd overruled his linesman and then decided no, it is a Manchester United throw. Sharp. Fairclough's header. He's Sharp again for Manchester United. Hustled there by McAllister. In comes Speed, a long way back to John Lukic. Neil Webb saying that it wasn't a very good game in that first half, and I think you at home would probably endorse that view. But Glenn Hussein up here at half-time, who's, I say, commentating for one of the Scandinavian countries, who played here last week, of course, for Liverpool, said that it is a desperate pitch to play on at the moment. Leeds throw. Speed. Flag up for offside against Mark Hughes, little in it. But Leeds won't be too perturbed as to how dull it is for us sitting up here and for you sitting at home. If they can get away with a 0-0, they'll be absolutely delighted. Gary Speed. But Bruce's challenge was swift, puts it into touch. The throw for Leeds. Well, Mel Sterland normally is a long throw expert. Oh, he's going across there now for this one. And Chris White's coming up from the back. In towards that near post, looking for the little flick on. Fairclough was in there too. Sterland again, McAllister. Strachan busying himself by the little run outside. Here's Gordon Strachan. Taken out of it though, and it's a free kick. Strachan will take the free kick for Leeds. As Danny Wallace continues to warm up for Manchester United. Straight at McClare, who was standing about 4 yards off the free kick.
Yes, the referee hasn't bothered really pushing people back the 10 yards, has he?
Strachan again. Robson. Stopped by Fairclough, or at least half stopped by Fairclough, on his way back to his defensive duties. It's all a bit of a muddle in there at the moment. McClare.
But you can see how Leeds United pressurise the other team, Brian, in their own half. You know, really everybody hustles and bustles and works very hard to stop the opposition coming out.
Williams stopped by Ince. In goes McAllister. It'll come through to Lee Martin. Up to 10 minutes of the second half gone, still 0-0. Chris White up there again, looking for Mel Sterland's free kick. White, neatly evading Blackmore. Strachan, McAllister. And Bruce saving Manchester United right at the last there. A real arresting challenge there by Gary McAllister. White's header. Up goes Williams, beaten in the air by Sharp. It'll fall for Strachan. Played forward to Lee Chapman. Now Robson. Played wide for Sharp. Crossed in well. Fairclough met it well. Strachan. No, given away. Ince. Strachan again. And hit long for Gary Speed to chase. But Steve Bruce takes it away. No foul. Hit long towards McClare. Fairclough in for Leeds. Up to Lee Chapman. Played nicely there for McAllister. Speed was a little bit back on his heels then, because that was an excellent ball by McAllister, who you suspect is beginning to have a bit of an influence on the midfield play in this semi-final. Gary McAllister.
A very good player, Gary McAllister, isn't he? And I think, again, his form has got better and better since he's moved to Leeds United. I mean, at Leicester, you thought, yes, he's not a bad player, but now I think, looking at him, he's one of the best midfield players in the First Division.
Hughes battling with Fairclough. Continuing to battle with Fairclough. And whether it's Fairclough who's going to get a yellow card now. In a way, as much sinned against as sinning, I have to say.
I have to agree with you.
So Chris Fairclough gets the yellow card. And a free kick for Manchester United. Martin with it. It's straight to speed. Here's McAllister again. Shouldered out of it then by Brian Robson. There's certainly no rhythm about the play on either side at the moment.
Well, the game is too competitive, really, for any team to settle down and play any rhythmic football. And, you know, I think you've got to give credit to Leeds United for coming and playing. I said that they do play a very quick game and a hustle and bustle game, and it's difficult to play against. And Manchester United are finding today they're not getting an inch of space, they're not getting any time on the ball, and everything is played in a hurry.
White. Haddock covering. Back to Lukic. Chapman versus Pallister. Pallister won it in the air. Sterling just hooking it away. Knocked again by Clayton Blackmore. Sharps after this one. Fairclough stretching out as well. And it'll be a Manchester United throw. Martin. Sharp to Martin. Back to Sharp. Lee Martin. Long cross there towards Hughes on the far side. How well he got up. And a goal kick for Leeds.
It was a lovely ball to the back post. John Lukic thought about coming, then decided to stay. And there's Mark Hughes, a big spring over the top of Whitlow, but also over the top of the bar.
Irwin's made a good, brave run down the right-hand side for him. Followed now by Gary Speed. Irwin. McClare tried a Hughes-type volley. Today's attendance, 34,050. All ticket. Bruce gets it back. Haddock.
Now Brian McClare will have a sprint almost to the halfway line here after that. It's I think it's just a waste of energy.
Time it's a free kick for Leeds United. The free kick still flowing fast here. Strachan was thinking about taking it, but it'll be Sterland. So here's Mel Sterland. Got a good header in there. It was Robson in the thick of it to get it away for Manchester United. Fairclough. Well, he might have held on to that a little too long. United can counter-attack with profit here. No, Ince stopped by Fairclough, who got back well. McAllister with a little touch, and Ince getting back with a long ball back to Les Seeley. Not many smiles on faces out there this afternoon.
Well,
it's a real touchy afternoon, isn't it?
Grim old day, this one.
Hughes. Whitlow. Whitlow's had a spell at left back this season.
That's been the problem position, hasn't it, left back?
They've had some terrible troubles with injuries there. Chris Kamara's had a go, and Glyn Snowden's had a go. Peter Haddock, of course, who's in possession at the moment. Sharp chasing this one. Bruce. Sterland. I hear from down below that it looks as though Danny Wallace will be on very shortly for Manchester United. Lee Martin, in the meantime, takes it up for the home side. Up to McClare, tried to bring Sharp, or rather Martin, into it again. Instead of that, it's McAllister on the break. He's got Strachan wide on the right. Might be difficult finding him, but he has held the movement up a little bit, though. But now McAllister again. Chapman's waiting in the middle. Speed is in there as well. Oh, here's Gary Speed knocked in there, and it was Irwin who got it away. Strachan again, good spell this for Leeds United, but Ince will get there before McAllister, and it ends up a goal kick.
That was Leeds United's best attack, certainly, I think, in the game, because they had Manchester United fully stretched there.
With Speed suddenly appearing on the right-hand side, and a nice little ball linked in. So Alec Ferguson, they're deciding what substitution should be made, and Jim McGregor, the physio, I think just checking with somebody that they're okay to go on. Whether it was Lee Martin or whether it was Paul Ince, I'm not sure. But at any rate, it's Andy Williams for Leeds. This is a good spell for Leeds. Knocked in there again. Chapman, and it might come for Speed. In the end, Manchester United get it away. Steve Bruce up towards Lee Sharp. Policed, though, by Mel Sterland. But Sharp gets possession now for Manchester United. McClare's running away from him now. There's a position now for Brian McClare. And the shot charged down by Haddock. Blackmore playing it in. White with a header away to Speed, but he's given this to Robson. Irwin now for Manchester United. Clayton Blackmore once more. Took too long. Gary Speed got in. Blackmore to Pallister. Cut out by Whitlow. Chapman chasing, but Bruce gets it back. McAllister. Spread wide towards Sterland. This is Williams. Sterland. Strachan. Oh, there was a bit of space for him if he could have collected that one. Robson. McClare chasing. Lukic coming out. United throw.
I think Alex Ferguson should get his substitute on as quickly as possible now.
Foul there by Sterland on Sharp. And indeed, Danny Wallace beginning to strip off. As they just have a look at Lee Sharp to make sure that he's okay to go on. Is. But the substitution is going to be made. Linesman flagging that Manchester United want to make that change now, and indeed it is Lee Martin who's coming off.
Clayton Blackmore coming across to play left back, and I would assume Danny Wallace going wide on the right hand side.
Does like to go through the middle, though, doesn't he, St. Anise?
Well, he does. Very, very quick boy.
They're pushing McClare a little wider right. Well, White got above Wallace. And as Wallace stands, I think it's 5'4", he's entitled to do that. Sharp with a long cross there. That time it was Haddock with a header away for Leeds United. Now it's with Irwin. Getting there ahead of Chapman. McClare chasing away on that right-hand side. There's a good cross in from McClare. Tipped away, but not very far. Sharp turning it back in. Hits Sterling with it. It goes, well, for the goal kick.
Came back off Sterling, hit Sharp, and went out for the dead ball. But already you can see Manchester United picked up. I think the players themselves wanted to have little Wallace on. A good run by McClare and a great ball. Really tested John Lukic. Got his fingertips to it.
And Wallace could have been in so easily for a goal almost with his first touch.
Well, he's such a lively little player, Danny Wallace. Very quick, difficult to pin down, and really it's a bit unlucky not getting a regular game at the moment at United. I think it's only because that the front two boys have been scoring goals and they're winning games that have kept him out.
He's also had a spell out with injury,
yes,
as well, as you know. Wallace to Blackmore. There you see the value of Blackmore. That wasn't a particularly good ball, but he's slotted in there at left back where he's played so well for much of this season. Sharp chasing this one. Sterling getting the header. Sharp. It's there for Manchester United. The mistake by Mel Sterling was punished so effectively by the young number 11. Lee Sharp puts Manchester United ahead. The joy on his face, the despair of Mel Sterling. Not nearly enough purchase on that header back to Lukic. And the fists go up in the air from the United fans.
Well, you must feel sorry for Mel Sterling. A half-hearted header, but didn't Sharp take it well? Beautifully slotted. He is a class player, this boy.
Well, he certainly lacks this competition. He got a wonderful hat-trick against Arsenal in a 6-2 win. In a previous round, Ince getting heavily involved there, and Brian Robson going in quickly as the peacemaker. And I think John Martin wants a word with Manchester United's number 8, but the place still bubbling over the goal by Lee Sharp. Taken, and I think Paul Ince can really thank Brian Robson for getting in there, and Robson's really giving Ince a piece of his mind there. As you can see, the 6th goal of Lee Sharp's season, 5 of them in this competition, and it's really got Old Trafford buzzing now. Wanting to take the throw, but I think there was just a bit of a hustle there as they both wanted the ball, and John Martin sorting it out very quickly. Leeds with a throw, no doubt about that, and Chris White will take it. United throw. Danny Wallace. Owen. Hit long. There's chance here for United. It comes to McClare. But Haddock did a great repair job there for Leeds United, and little Strachan seeking inspiration now, or at least space to do something for Leeds United, stopped by Sharp, and a free kick.
Now Manchester United caught the offside trap, wide open there. It was a lovely ball by Dennis Irwin there, slanted across, and there was 3 red shirts converging on it. That was a real chance, I think, for Manchester United.
And good defending by Haddock right at the end.
Well, it was. I mean, Haddock appeared from nowhere.
White with the free kick for Leeds United. Sterling. Strachan fouled there by his old mate Brian Robson. A free kick for Leeds United. Both White and Fairclough dutifully going forward again. On the far side of that box, McAllister will take the kick for Leeds. Plenty of movement there, favouring the left foot now. Curls it in, and it might even come. It has for Chris White. Scored only 1 goal this season. But look at that broad smile, and look at the joy from the Leeds United fans that are here, 2,500 of them. Leeds have scored a shock equaliser here. McAllister's free kick finished off by Chris White, and the score is 1-1.
Shades of offside, I thought there, Brian. McAllister in with his left foot, the flick on by Fairclough, and there was Big White banging it in. But I thought possibly just a shade offside.
So it's really warmed up now as the temperature drops here on the pitch. It's really warmed up. Bruce forwards, Wallace with a header. United will be furious at conceding, or Manchester United will be furious at conceding a goal so quickly after going into a lead there. Bruce, Pallister, Strachan, no foul. Here come Manchester United again. Lee Sharp. Sterling getting in there. Good challenge by Mel Sterling. Took the ball cleanly. It's an old saying of Clough is that when you've scored a goal, you've got to get your first 3 or 4 tackles in after it and not concede anything. And obviously, United's attention had wavered just a little bit, their concentration. And Chris White punished them for it. Now McClare. Might be something here, no? The flag was up. Let's look to see whether that goal was offside, as you suspect it may have been from our 18-yard camera.
Well, this would be a good angle here to look at it. Keep Chris White away at the top of your picture there. And I think there, you see, he's nearer the 6-yard box, I think, than Bruce. But again, you know, this season, if you're in line, then you're onside.
Yeah.
So it could well be that... in the linesman's opinion, he just was in line.
It was touching. I would have thought he looked in line, to be honest.
Yes. But funny enough, in the first half, a couple of free kicks, he was getting himself a lot of space. United, for some reason, haven't been picking him up in the box. And I mean, he's the tallest guy in the park, well, nearly, apart from Pallister.
Haddock with a header. Irwin to Robson. McClare chasing. It's McWhitlow gets it away. Up to Gary Speed. Oh, Speed's given that ball away. It's a dangerous area to be doing that sort of thing. Pallister planting it forward again to Brian Robson. A touch on to Wallace. Fairclough making life difficult for him. So too was Andy Williams. Oh, the feet are going in there. Robson's going in there as well. A real schmozzle there. Ince involved once more. Some pushing and some shoving. And Robson and Whitlow having words with each other. Robson and Strachan having words with each other. On a more friendly nature, it seemed to me, those two at any rate.
This is turning out like the Arsenal Manchester United fracas. I think the referees were blown early there and just stopped it. The ball was jammed in Ince's legs and everybody's fighting for it there. And you can only get trouble once that starts.
Excellent pictures that showed it all. You can see Ince getting a knock from somebody's knee.
That was Chris Fairclough. But the referee should have jumped in right at the beginning, stopped the play as soon as the ball was jammed in Ince's legs.
Bruce with a header. Hughes with a turn. He's turned Fairclough well. But it's so difficult to run the ball on this surface, and he was stopped by Haddock. McAllister looking for the long ball forward. Bruce in control though for Manchester United. Turning away from Lee Chapman. Finding Pallister. Hit forward there, but only as far as McAllister. Irwin. There's White with a good dominant header again. Strachan playing it down. Williams. And now Ince. Have to be quick. Knocked to the ground by Lee Chapman, a free kick.
the Lee Chapman actually has done ever so well to play today, Brian, but I think now maybe it would be in the best interest of Leeds if they took him off, because you must remember he's not done much training all week. He's been actually probably laid up for a couple of days early on in the week, and I think John Pearson maybe now should come on for Leeds.
Well, John Pearson's another big striker in the mould of Lee Chapman as well. Lee Chapman, who was in hospital with that facial injury for the first couple of days of the week, and as I was telling you, couldn't take any solid food until, I think it was Tuesday, Howard Wilkinson was telling me.
That's not the best preparation, is it, for a game of this intensity?
But it showed an awful lot of pluck to play in it in the first place. But I think you're probably right that now might be the time to make the change. Foul there by Robson on McAllister. Free kick. Free kick to Leeds. Imagine how the heat will be turned up in the second leg as well of this one, Ian.
Oh, yes. I don't think you've got much chance of getting a ticket for that one.
Sterling with the free kick for Leeds. Hit towards Lee Chapman. Fairclough was in there. Strachan. Stopped by Robson. Sterling going forward for another long throw. Inside the last quarter of an hour. And Ian's got to choose the Rumbelows man of the match. Won't be easy today. Mel Sterling with the long throw for Leeds United. Up goes Pallister. Hughes bringing it away. Wallace. Hughes. Robson. Bringing in Irwin. Bruce. And Pallister. It's a long ball, chasing McClare. Good ball by Pallister. It was worth that. And really had to be emergency action there from John Lukic. Really couldn't be sure whether he was just inside or just outside the box. Certainly a good ball by Pallister. Here's Robson. Getting McClare in. Hughes. Stopped that time by Fairclough. Ince. Ince again. And Haddock conceding the corner. It's real nip and tuck stuff now. As Leeds United leave only Strachan outside their penalty area. Pallister with a header. They claim a handball. It might come from McClare. To Manchester United. Brian McClare strikes goal number 14 of the season.
Well, it was lucky, really, as far as Manchester United were concerned. There was Pallister with a header. But watch here, I thought Leeds United were almost getting it clear. You know, everybody slipped, and there was McClare, turned round and poked it in.
Might even have been a whisper of offside about that one, you know.
Well, the Leeds United players had come off the line, and McClare turned. Maybe Gary's speed was in there, forward in there, maybe just playing him onside.
So 2-1 now for Manchester United. And Brian McClare. He's only missed one game since he arrived here from Celtic in 1987, 183 appearances. Well, let's see how United are going to defend now. Hasn't always been everybody's favourite here, McClare, but he's never for a moment shirked his work, and he's given 100% every time he's played.
That is an amazing record, only to have missed one game, isn't it?
In towards Fairclough. McClare now. Fairclough. McAllister, speed. Ooh, Fairclough right in there again. Lee Chapman. And cut out by Clayton Blackmore. Annie Wallace won't get that one. Chris White will. Offside, surely. The referee, a linesman rather, kept his flag down. Easy for Lukic. And here come Leeds again with Mel Sterland. Hit towards Chapman, couldn't control it. Bruce steadying it back to Les Seeley.
He's taken some abuse today, little Strachan, hasn't he? But he just bounces back up, gets the ball down and plays.
So Sterland with the free kick. Push White and Fairclough in there once again. Aiming this time towards Lee Chapman, beaten in the air by Pallister. Wicklow gets it back to Haddock. White on the far side. It's a Leeds throw. McAllister. Strachan. Here's Irwin for United. Header. Now Leeds United's throw.
Dennis Irwin got a nasty crack there.
Got a nasty crack on the head there as they jump for that one from the throw. We can have another look at that second Manchester United goal.
This will be interesting if we've got a good angle on this one. As it happens, I would say that he was on the 6-yard line and goal side of all the Leeds players, so I would have thought he was offside. Marginal, but I thought he was off.
Yeah, I thought so too. That was my first reaction, Ian, I must say. It was his 14th of the season. That's 31 that he and Mark Hughes have chalked up between them. Born, incidentally, within 6 weeks of each other in the winter of 1963, McClare and Hughes.
Dennis Irwin having to come off.
Dennis Irwin needing to come off, and indeed they're getting a stretcher on for him. No, not required after all. He's a tough young Irishman from County Cork, and he'll walk his way off the field. But it means that Mal Donaghy will come on, and again United can swap a defender for a defender. Now, in fact, who's played a little bit of right back this season for Manchester United. And it's a nasty old knock on the nose, might even be a broken nose for Dennis Irwin.
He played ever so well in Wednesday night for the Republic of Ireland with Dennis Irwin. I was talking to Big Jack after it, and you know, he was pleased with his display. He thought he'd come on, done really well. Mal Donaghy, of course, defender for a defender, so there should be no problem for United there.
Chapman with a header. Manchester United still leading by 2-1. tricky task of choosing your Rumbelows man of the match.
Well, it is difficult today, Brian, because
Give us just have a think about it for a minute or so. Yeah.
I might wait till next week.
Oh, Fairclough. Oh, dispossessed there by Sharp. Haddock. A really good steady game, Peter Haddock. Up to Chapman. In for Williams. Good work by Ince. Robson. Hughes. Wallace now. The flag stays down for Danny Wallace. Wide of the target. That could have been a really crucial miss. At 2-1 going into the second leg, you would strongly fancy Leeds might have a very, very strong chance. At 3-1, you would strongly fancy Manchester United.
There's a lovely little ball there. And again, I mean, he looked marginally offside. Very good chance, really. He's got to hit it across the goalkeeper. Excellent chance for United there. Probably see it better from this angle. He got the ball slightly too far outside his right foot when he was striking it.
Alistair. Sterling gets it back. But that could be a really critical moment over these two legs, Shane.
Oh, yes, as you say, 3-1. He would fancy United. 2-1, of course. I think it's still anybody's game. Leeds United have an excellent record at home.
Bruce chasing after this one. Whitlow there as well. Might just keep it in play, no. Let's talk about your man of the match.
Well, the game's been so frantic, really, that, you know, nobody's been able to settle down and play and look classy at all. I think the defenders have done well. United's two centre-backs have done well. But again, you know, I don't think Lee Chapman's fully fit. I think in midfield, McAllister's done well. Young Speed has done well also for Leeds, as has Lee Sharp for Manchester United.
Ince. Back it goes. Will it get to Seeley? Yes. Sharp. Blackmore. Chris White. Excellent game he's had. Williams gets it back. All right, let's talk about your man of the match. Let's make the nomination now. I'm sure people at home have been thinking about it as well.
Well, I've gone for Chris White, centre-back of Leeds United. I think Big Chris has had an excellent game, and to keep Mark Hughes quiet, you know, in the form he's in at the moment, I think you really have to be playing some. And not only that, of course, he's gone up and scored a goal himself. So he's my Barclays.
No, not the Barclays today. The Rumbelows man.
Oh, the Rumbelows, of course.
And he gets he wins a Sony TV set. And so well done, Chris White.
So no champagne.
No champagne today. Sterling plays it in. Robson gets it away. Haddock for Leeds. McClare. Back again to Bruce.
That's a very popular decision with the Manchester United crowd.
Leeds fans take quite a different view, but here's Lee Sharp. Oh, he's gone past Sterling. Now, what sort of cross? A good one coming in. Haddock gets it away. We're playing time added on at the end of 90 minutes now. And really, it's on a knife edge now, this cup tie.
Sorry, Brian.
It's on a knife edge now, this cup tie,
yes.
when you think of the second leg coming up at Ellen Road.
Well, as I said, I don't think you could truthfully say you fancy Manchester United going there, and if Leeds get back to full strength, who knows?
Yeah, and David Batty will be eligible, of course. But in this game today, Manchester United, with that winner 11 minutes from the end by Brian McClare, win by 2-1 with Lee Sharp having scored first with the disastrous back header by Mel Sterling, then Chris White picking up and getting an equaliser for Leeds United in a match that was full of commitment, particularly through their midfield areas, but really lacked a good flowing style this afternoon. Let's get a word from the Leeds United manager, Howard Wilkinson, with Gary Newborn.
Howard, very good second half, and you have a good record at home. Is 2-1 going to be enough for you, do you think?
I hope so. I hope so. You never can tell in cup ties, but I think we're equal to them today. Bad defending really for the goals, but I think it's going to be enough at all.
Mind you, if Wallace had got that one in at the end, it would have made it much harder.
Well,
for him.
if my auntie with my uncle.
It was a brave decision to play Lee Chapman, and he is a very brave lad. Did it work out for you, do you think?
I think so. There was no... his performance wasn't inhibited at all. He went out there and he played. No excuses when you go over that line.
Howard, thank you very much.
Well, not the prettiest game you've ever seen, but difficult to envisage one with more commitment than that. 2-1 United from the first leg. We'll be talking with Dennis Law after the break. Welcome back. Manchester United have beaten Leeds United by 2-1 in this Rumbelows League Cup semi-final, but we're only at the halfway point. Second half was much better, Dennis, wasn't it?
Well, to be fair, after the first half, the second half had to get better, and it was better. Both teams came out, and we got the goal. It needed a goal desperately, didn't it? And fortunately, of course, we got 3 goals.
This young man, Lee Sharp, who's making quite a reputation for himself this season.
Yeah, he felt a bit sorry for Sterling because it was a long way to head it back, but Sharp, magic player, and took it so well, very cool, calm and collected, just knocked it into the corner. It was a lovely goal.
Apparently he is the outstanding favourite to win the Young Player of the Year, Dennis.
Well, I think he's had a marvellous season, hasn't he? And he's got tremendous skill, and he's such a lovely crosser of the ball. And if I had to disagree with the Saint, I might have picked Sharp.
OK, well, you don't usually disagree with him, so there's a novelty. Now, look, then we had two goals with a suspicion of offside about them. First by man of the match, Chris White.
Yes, when we first saw it, I thought it was offside, but when we saw it again, he was just, well, it's a line-bought man now, isn't it? And if you're in line with a man, you are onside. So to me, that was a perfectly legal goal, and he took it well. To be fair to Ian, White did have a magnificent game. And the second goal, I mean United's goal, that looked more offside because when you see the header from Pallister come in, it hits a Leeds defender, the ball bobbles about, it comes through to McClare. Now there you can't see it. It's such a difficult angle, but I felt at the time that Speed had just come forward. See there now. Just about 2 feet, but in a situation like that, who would want to be a referee? I certainly would be. I mean, we call him enough, you know. So in that situation, the referee did all right.
Yeah, referee or a linesman in that situation. Anyway, only 2 First Division games yesterday. Certainly the Northwest 2 major footballing centres, Liverpool and Manchester, missed the worst of the weather. At Main Road, Manchester City against Chelsea. At Anfield, the Merseyside derby.
The scoreline from Anfield's a bit misleading. This wasn't quite the same old story. For a start, Liverpool were without Ian Rush and Steve McMahon, whose deputy Jan Molby fired Liverpool in front. Watson's header out lacked any great authority, and Molby's shot just nicked off David Speedy's heel to wrong-foot Southall and co on the line. Everton didn't really deserve to be a goal down. McCall was energetic in midfield, Milligan neat and tidy, and there was Graham Sharp occupying a Lone Ranger position up front. He looked sharp too, but on that occasion, Grobbelaar was even sharper. Apart from the goal, Liverpool's only other goal-scoring opportunity brought a magnificent save from Neville Southall. Barnes striking well on the volley, and that was world-class from 2 world-class performers. No snow at Anfield, but Barnes well kitted out against the freezing cold. Southall preventing Everton going 2 down, which in the words of the late great Bill Shankly would have been a travesty of justice. 1-1 would have been a much fairer reflection on the balance of play in the first 45 minutes, and it came from that will-o'-the-wisp Pat Nevin. Previously denied a penalty, he survived a fairly realistic handball appeal to equalise seconds before half-time. Cruel blow for Liverpool just after the interval. A fierce but non-malicious clash between Whelan and Beagrie left Whelan hobbling with a broken bone in his shin. Out for a month at least, so he'll miss the crucial European Championship qualifier at Wembley. So with the crowd chanting for Peter Beardsley to come off the bench, Kenny Dalglish did the opposite and put on Jimmy Carter. Immediately, Speedy nodded in Jan Molby's free kick. 49 minutes gone. I think the secret of marking Speedy in these situations is to regard him as a big man. Sheedy, for example, wouldn't have picked up Ablett or Hussein, and Speedy can get up just as high as the likes of them. Liverpool went 3-1 in front 3 minutes later, and that really came as a psychological blow to Everton, who'd matched the champions in just about every department. David Burrows took some convincing afterwards that it was Speedy's goal, but it clearly was. Everton's last line of defence looked to have it covered until Speedy stuck out a toe. It all happened much too fast for Everton. They still had their chances, though, but the commitment, so apparent for almost an hour, wasn't quite as intense. Sharp going close right near the end. Would have gone in, actually, but for the slightest of deflections off Steve Nicholls' knee. Then Stuart McCall nearly scored. A frantic finish, but it really was more of a hard luck story for Everton than the same old story. They meet again next week, of course, in the FA Cup. Nothing for Everton to fear, except perhaps the return of McMahon and Rush. First Division football went ahead 30-odd miles away down a snow-free East Lancashire road. Niall Quinn's header enabling Gary Megson to put Manchester City in front against Chelsea. Not the best of games and not the best of attempted clearances by Tony Dorigo. Didn't bother David White that Dorigo failed to welly it into the stand with his right foot. City on course for their 5th successive win. Chelsea pulled one back, but it never really looked enough. Dennis Wise on the volley, Tony Coton legs akimbo, 2-1, and that's how it stayed. But before the final whistle, Chelsea had Steve Clarke, who was on a substitute, sent off after the second of 2 bookable fouls on Neil Poynton, the Manchester City left fullback. Now with his injury problems mounting, Bobby Campbell clearly didn't need that. Afterwards, Campbell suggested the reaction of the crowd had influenced the referee's decision. Steve Clarke sent off, 2-1 at Main Road.
Manchester City stay where they are in 7th spot. Liverpool back on top now with a 3-point lead over Arsenal. Well, our competition this week comes from the Rumbelows Cup, the best of the goals that we've seen in the competition up to now. 5 £100 prizes to be won, 7 goals for you to decide between and then to vote for.
Strachan lets it go, nice little run. Here comes McAllister, he might try one. McAllister! What a goal, 2 minutes. A deadly blow from McAllister, a bitter blow for Queen's Park Rangers.
The first of a magnificent 7. Goal A, Gary McAllister of Leeds United at Queen's Park Rangers. Goal B, Mark Hughes, the second of 3 against Liverpool.
Worthington switches it to Hart on the right. That's a good effort. Oh, what a tremendous goal by John Hart! His first ever in English football.
Goal C, John Harkes flying the Star-Spangled Banner with Sheffield Wednesday at Derby.
Now Regis in space in the middle. Good ball too, and Gallagher's got 3 again. Oh, what a goal! Two in the space of a minute from Kevin Gallagher. And they can't believe it here in Coventry.
The pick of 9 goals on a never-to-be-forgotten night at Highfield Road. Coventry's Kevin Gallagher, goal D.
But it's still with Manchester United and Lee Sharp under the right foot. It's another one! 3-0! A fantastic goal by Lee Sharp.
Goal E, Manchester United's Lee Sharp.
And the United bench are on their feet. And the United fans as well just can't believe it.
The instincts of Lee Chapman provide us with goal F.
Robson's header, Hughes, 1-1. Instinctive and unstoppable. There's no better volleyer in the game.
And finally there, goal G, Mark Hughes again, his equaliser at Southampton. 7 contenders leading the way. Goal A, Gary McAllister. Goal B, first time around, for Mark Hughes. Goal C, John Harkes. Goal D, Kevin Gallagher. Goal E, Lee Sharp. Goal F, Lee Chapman. And goal G, Mark Hughes again, one of 3 for Manchester United. And there's the number to ring by Friday. Format's pretty much the same with Ian St John, the judge. We want you to ring 0898 404 505 and vote for your Rumbelows goal of the League Cup so far.
And you'll be able to find out who the 5 winners are in 2 weeks' time when we return with the Rumbelows League Cup semi-final second leg game. It'll either be Chelsea against Sheffield Wednesday or Leeds United against Manchester United. It does promise to be some game, that, Dennis, isn't it? The return from the one we've seen today.
Well, with Leeds only being 1 goal down behind, it could really be one of the great cup ties of the season. I'm sure it will be. Leeds usually win at home. United haven't lost away in league or cup since September the 19th. I suppose something has got to give. From all of us at Old Trafford this afternoon, bye-bye.